Rajendra Singh, the waterman of India, once said, if there will ever be the third world war, it will be due to water, it will be a water war. And we can see here that the China is involving in similar kind of confrontational tactics vis-a-vis India. So guys, in this video, we are going to discuss that how China is trying to resort the water war tactic with respect to India. Well, hello everyone, my name is Sahil and I welcome you all at Unacademy. So first of all, let's discuss that what has been the present context. So guys, recently we find this particular thing that a satellite imagery data has revealed this thing that the China is constructing a dam close to India's border on the tributary of Ganga River. Okay, so on tributary of Ganga River, on the tri-junction between China, Nepal and India, near that the dam is being constructed. Moreover, the reports are also coming that the China is also constructing dam very fast near the Arunachal Pradesh. So these particular dams, they seems to be a part of an ulterior design of China. So let's discuss all this particular development in this video. Now, first of all, guys, when we talk about guys, the recent incident, we have found this particular thing that on tri-junction, this particular development is going on. And guys, we find this particular thing that as we talk about India and China relations, so India-China relations, which also includes often the confrontations that have been there between India and China, it has now extended beyond the oceans and the land fronts. Now it has reached to water. Now, first of all, let's discuss a little bit about the river systems that are shared between India and China majorly. So guys, majorly there are the two trans-border river systems, the major ones I'm talking about that are being shared between India and China. Number one is the Brahmaputra River system on the eastern side, which consists River Siang, which happens to be the main stream of the river Brahmaputra, Siang main stream of the river Brahmaputra, okay, and its tributaries, that is Subansiri, Lohit, fine, they emerge in the regions of the China, particularly Tibet, and then they enter India. Now, when we talk about the river Brahmaputra, it is called as Sangpo in China. Then the other river system that majorly originates in the regions of the Tibet is the Indus River system on the western side, which consists Indus River, River Satluj. Okay, and if we track the course of River Brahmaputra, which we will be discussing largely today because of the recent dam on Midong that is coming. So you can see here that this is Yarlung Zangpo. Okay, the Brahmaputra River, it enters India. Okay, then we find this particular course here. Now, when we talk about the basin of river Brahmaputra, it stretches across Tibet, Bhutan, India and Bangladesh. I'm talking about the basin of Bangladesh, of the Brahmaputra river. Then, in respect to India, which states are covered by the river Brahmaputra? So, we have Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, West Bengal, Meghalaya, Nagaland and Sikkim. Now, this entire information happens to be very important for prelims examination. Okay, so please keep this information in your mind because this information we are going to use in the coming slides. Now, so this is basic information with respect to the river Brahmaputra. Now, let's talk a little bit about the origin of disputes on river. Now, guys, understand this particular thing that since 1950s, Mao Zedong has clearly provided this idea that China needs to exploit its fresh water resources, particularly the river water resources. And as back as 1950, Mao Zedong provided that they need to exploit the potential of the Yangtze River, and he envisaged the construction of the Three Gorges Dam on Yangtze River. Now, if we talk about the Three Gorges Dam, so this here, there are these Three Gorges Dam, and this is the Yangtze River. Okay, here you can see Yellow Sea, East China Sea, South China Sea. Here there is Taiwan. So, Three Gorges Dam was envisaged, and this particular dam, okay, the construction began in 2006, and post the Three Gorges Dam, which was constructed, China moved its attention to Brahmaputra River. Now, as we talk about, guys, China, what are the major disputes that we have China on river front? They are majorly the two type of disputes. Dispute number one, China had constructed hydropower projects on many of the transnational rivers that are being shared between India and China, but doesn't shares hydrological data with respect to these rivers, what is the activity that China is doing. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about China, China is an upstream nation, okay, and many of the rivers are flowing from China to other countries, and China has shown hegemonic attitude when China is sitting at as an upper riparian state. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about the major projects of China, which has been controversial, it is the China's dam building activities, sorry, on Jiangsu, Zongmu, and Jaicha River. They have been very much controversial. So here, guys, if you see Brahmaputra River, then we can see that there is here majorly dam construction activity that has been carried by China traditionally. So guys, here we can see there is a Dagu, which is a 640 megawatt plant, hydropower plant. Then there is a Jiangsu, Zangmu is there, and Jiacha are there in this particular river. So guys, these are the lower reaches of Brahmaputra. Now what is impact of constructing dams here? This we are going to discuss in lot more details in just a few minutes time. But before moving in that, guys, I would like to tell you about Unacademy, UPSC, CSE, GS courses. So why you should enroll in Unacademy? Because here you get the widest choice of educators, flexibility to change your courses, unlimited view on lectures, dedicated doubt solving session, printed notes, end-to-end preparation, live mentorship, daily answer writing, practice sessions. And you can enroll in Unacademy's Plus as well as iconic courses. Fine, here if you use the code Sahil29, if you use the code Sahil29, you can immediately get 10% discount. And Unacademy has come with UPSC Iconic Week offer, where if you avail 18-month subscription, you get complimentary optional subscription, as well as you also get a 10% discount. So both you get, which leads to a huge saving of around 46,000 rupees. So you can use the educator code Sahil29 to avail optional complimentary free of cost. And now Unacademy is also launching a dedicated module to strengthen your basics with NCRTs, where in 120 hours the NCRTs would be completed, and expedition batch has just started on 19th January. You can enroll in the expedition batch, and all the batches that we have discussed here, they are available at 0% EMI option. You can call at this number to get more information. And now Unacademy is also launching the offline centers, where the top educators will be coming offline. Now moving on. So guys, as we have discussed that China has constructed so many of the dams, okay, so basically China is trying to dominate the lower reaches of Brahmaputra. China is trying to dominate the lower reaches of Brahmaputra, and this is not only with India that China has done such kind of an activity, particularly on the Mekong River, which happens to be a major river in Asia, which is shared between China, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, etc. On Mekong River also China has carried the dam construction activities, and China stored so much of the water of Mekong River that the river has started to dry, which is called as the economic lifeline of the millions of people. Now, China stored the water, and China blamed that the water level in Mekong River has gone down because of insufficient rainfall. But then satellite imagery revealed this particular thing, that China has constructed the dams which have stopped the flow of Mekong River. So this is something that has happened. Now what is this recent development that has come in news? So guys, the recent development is something like this, that actually there are two developments. Development number one, that China, it has been found that it's constructing, just a minute, let me change the pen so that now, yes, so we find this particular thing, that now China is constructing the dam on Mabja Zangbo River in Tibet. Now what is this Mabja Zangbo River? Very important for the prelims examination. So basically guys, the Mabja Zangbo River, it flows in the Ghagra or the Karnali River. Now Ghagra River joins Ganga River. Fine. So guys, here we can see Ghagra River, okay, and the Ghagra River will be joining the river Ganga. So basically, Ghagra River's one of tributary that is Mabja Jangbo. On this particular river, China is constructing dam. China is constructing dam somewhat here, and this particular dam is located just a few kilometers. This particular dam is located just a few kilometers north of Tri Junction, where there is the boundary between China, Nepal, and India. So just a few kilometers it is located. So this is concern area number 1, and concern area number 2 that is there is Medog Dam. Medog Dam. So here, guys, again you can see the Brahmaputra River entering India, and just at this particular point, Medog Dam has been proposed, which is a 60 gigawatt capacity super dam. Guys, it is huge, humongous dam, bigger than the Three Gorges Dam, and this dam is going to make 60 gigawatt electricity. Now, as we talk about, guys, this particular dam's location, it is very much located near to Arunachal Pradesh borders. Now this particular concern has been raised by India, that it has been located so much near to Arunachal Pradesh. But guys, India, first of all, if we talk about little bit about the Medong Dam, so China, as a part of their 14th 5-year plan, they provided that they needed to accelerate on dam building activities, particularly on the Brahmaputra River. And according to Chinese officials, they claim this thing that they are constructing this particular dam so China can achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. Moreover, they also say this thing that the Tibet Autonomous Region happens to be an underdeveloped region. Socio-economic indicators, fine economic and infrastructural development is missing, and there is a lot of disparity between developmental levels of the Tibetan region and other mainland China. So in order to accelerate their development, they are providing basic infrastructure, which includes the construction of the Medong Dam for hydropower. This is something that has been provided. Okay. Now, guys, moving in this particular direction, so basically the problems are this. The problems which are coming in this particular dam are this. Number one, this particular dam, guys, is going to store a lot of water. This dam is going to store a lot of water, and by the water, this dam will also be going to store massive amount of silt that would have carried by Brahmaputra River. Now see this thing. As Brahmaputra River enters in India, particularly the northeast, it carries with it a lot of silt. Now this silt is one of the most fertile and finest soil, and this particular silt enhances fertility in this entire region. But now this particular silt will be stored in this particular dam, and therefore the fertile soil that was coming in India because of the flooding of Brahmaputra River, it will not come. So this is going to be a big reason. So it could impact farming in the downstream regions, and not only India will be impacted, but when Brahmaputra will enter Bangladesh, then Bangladesh is also going to enter because of this particular development. Okay, the next issue that comes here is this, in this particular direction, guys, is that basically now we can see this particular thing, that the China often has developed a confrontationist attitude with India, and as we have seen recently, confrontations were carried in Tawang, then before that in Galwan in 2020. So China as a confrontation can release a massive amount of water from this particular dam at its own will, and by that it can flood northeast India. So this is going to be a very big national security concern here for India. Okay, then the next issue, guys, that has been there, that when we talk about the Himalayan region, it is already vulnerable to earthquake and seismic activities. We have just seen that already in we see this thing that in Chamoli, okay, we find this particular thing that there is a land subsidence that is going on fine in Joshimath in Chamoli. So the region is very fragile, and storing so much of water might induce seismic activity in the region and earthquakes and all such kind of thing. So, okay, this is a very big reason. Now, guys, what has been India's response, first of all, for the Medong project that the China is constructing? What is India's response? So, guys, India has also proposed construction of a hydropower dam on Siang River. On Siang River also, India has proposed a dam. Okay, so here in Dibang Valley in Arunachal Pradesh, we are planning an 11,000 megawatt project. Now, though it is not big as the size of the Chinese dam, but still it is going to be a very big hydropower dam. Fine, and the proposal has been submitted to Central Electricity Authority, but the proposal has not been cleared. We need to expedite immediately in response to the Chinese challenge of dam that has come. Now, we need to understand also this particular thing, that why China has become so much aggressive on dam construction, particularly in the lower reaches of Brahmaputra as well as on the tributaries of Ganga River. So, number one reason is that China has scarce water resources. So today if we talk about Chinese population, 20% of world population is in China, but they have only 7% of the water resources. So therefore, they are trapping as much water as possible. Second, we see this thing that as China has went for rampant industrialization, okay, lot of water resources, groundwater sources, the aquifers of China that they have become polluted, and therefore their dependence on river water has increased even more. Moreover, regional imbalance is also there in China. So basically when we talk about, guys, China is a southern region, though they are water rich, but what the northern part is water stressed. So in order to divert the region water to the water stressed regions, China is doing this particular kind of thing. Then China also wants to use water as a geopolitical tool. Now guys, understand this thing, that when the Doklam standoff happened between India and China, China stopped sharing a lot of hydrological information with India, which was crucial for flood management. So China wants to tap the water so that it can use it as a geopolitical tool. In future, if China wants to go for weaponization of water, China can do that thing easily. So therefore, China is trapping water. Okay. Now, moreover, we also see this thing that it is nothing but an example of the hegemonic attitude of China. Now, you see this thing that basically, guys, China is the starting point. Fine. Now, when we talk about Tibet region is called as the third pole of the world because of so many of the glaciers that are there in this particular region and so much of the untapped water that is there in Tibet. So, Tibet is the third pole, and as Tibet is under China's control, fine, we see this thing that there are 18 downstream countries, 18 countries which are sharing rivers with the China. China is an upper riparian state. Okay, no other countries serves water to that many nations. 18 nations China is serving water, and China, being an upper riparian state, wants to weaponize water, want to control this water flow. So therefore, China is carrying such kind of tactics. Now, when we talk about water cooperation between India and China, so what mechanisms we have for water cooperation between India and China? Let's see them briefly. Now, if I make a comparison between India and Pakistan, so India and Pakistan and India and China, with Pakistan we have better governance mechanisms for water. With China we don't have that good mechanism. Now you see this thing, we have Indus Water Treaty of 1960 with the Pakistan, which have formalized the water governance, but with China we don't have any such kind of an agreement. Now both the countries, that is India and China, they have signed memorandum of understanding for hydrological information on river Brahmaputra. It was signed in 2002, and then MOU has been signed on hydrological data sharing on Satluj River in 2010. But a formal treaty as we have with Pakistan, that is Indus Water Treaty, we don't have. Moreover, apart from this, we also have expert level mechanism to cooperate in emergency, but China cooperates there at its own will. Often it has been seen. So this is something. Fine, this is something, guys, that has been there. So we clearly find that there is a suboptimal cooperation between the two nations on water, and at the same time border disputes, fine, confrontations that have increased between India and China, it will further complicate the situation. Now, what are concerns for India? Number one concern is environmental concern. Now guys, we see this particular thing that the northeast India, which is dependent lot on Brahmaputra and its tributary, it happens to be a kind of an environmentally sensitive region. Okay, of the world's most ecologically sensitive zone which have been identified, northeast region features out of them. One thing. So therefore, a lot of developmental activity will disturb the pristine environment. Then basically river pollution. So we have seen this particular thing that in 2017, Siang, the mainstream, the Brahmaputra, it turned blackish gray, okay, because of that so much of rampant construction activity that is being taken. Moreover, we have already told you this thing that the Tibet is called as the third pole. Tibet is called as the third pole, okay, and trapping water there might aggravate the water challenges for so many of the people, okay. Around 1 million people are in Brahmaputra basin, they are dependent on the rivers, fine, of rivers, particularly the Brahmaputra and its tributaries. And then we have seen this thing that today the landslides in fragile Himalayan region, they have become a big disaster and it has become a big concern, and by constructing such dams there will be seismic activity that might aggravate more of a landslides, okay. Now, moreover, it also happens to be the strategic threat. Now, guys, you see this particular thing. China is not only constructing the damming activity by itself, rather China is also cooperating with the neighbors of India, such as Bangladesh. And China is carrying the strategic circling of India. See, first of all, there is a string of pearls where the circling of India on the sides of the Indian Ocean is being done. Then with respect to the water also, strategic circling of India is being done and vulnerability of India is being exposed. Okay, this is something. Now we have seen that India's response has been to construct our own dams in the river, fine, in the region, which we have seen this particular thing that on Subansiri, okay, fine, on Subansiri River in Arunachal Pradesh, we are doing this kind of an activity. Okay, if you remember, we have seen this particular slide also, yes. So here we can see that India is also constructing the dam activity here. Okay, now moving on in this particular direction. Okay, moreover, guys, the government of India has consistently conveyed to the Chinese government that how this particular thing is a sensitive issue between India and China and how sensitively this particular issue is to be taken up. Okay, so as a lower riparian state, fine, considerable user rights of India are there which are not being entertained by China. We have conveyed it now, but what is more way forward in this particular direction? So guys, number one, we need to re-strengthen the relations with the other lower riparian states such as Bangladesh. So Bangladesh will also suffer if China carries the dam activities on Brahmaputra. So we should enhance cooperation with Bangladesh, okay, and on the behalf of such lower riparian state, India needs to act as a leader. Then we need to raise this particular matter more proactively with China at all the level of meets. Fine. So as we have raised the matters on physical boundaries, such river and water matters also we need to raise. Then we also need to develop the mechanisms for mutual cooperation through Himalayan Charter, Himalayan Council, okay, and moreover diplomatic communication, sharing hydrological data, exchange information also needs to be focused upon. Okay, and apart from that, both the countries, that is India and China, they also need to develop an effective framework for resource management. Joint institutional mechanism needs to be there between both the countries. Okay, water cooperation needs to be signed. Okay, and a continuous dialogue should be there. So these are, guys, all the detailed way forward that has to be there, which you are going to write in your answer. Now just briefly, I also want to tell you some other existing international agreement for dealing with the trans-boundary river systems. I just want to tell you so that you can write them in your mains examination. There are the Helsinki Rules of 1966, which have codified the principles on whose basis the two nations which share a transnational river, they will be sharing information, they will be enhancing their cooperation. Now, the Helsinki Rules of 1966, they have been superseded by Berlin Rules of 2004. And it summarizes the international law, fine, which are applied on freshwater resources, rivers, etc., both within a nation as well as the rivers crossing international boundaries. And we also have United Nations Watercourse Convention of 1997. Now this particular convention, it talks about the international water courses that are shared between the two countries. Okay, so water course for navigation, etc., which are shared on that, it tries to enhance the cooperation. So these are, guys, all the all the other mechanisms that we have. So on such kind of a line, on the India and China can also decide on some kind of a mutual cooperation. So that is all, guys, about this particular video, and with this we come to today's session. Guys, if you have liked the session, I will request you to please hit the like button, and please do leave your comments as what you believe on this particular matter, what should be the suitable approach by India. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.